Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to the Status Network, the live TV channel. This is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author Andrew Snorton. And tonight we're excited to have a conversation with some great guests across the fields of entertainment, business, community, and more. So before we get into our guests for the evening, we're going to take a couple moments to go ahead and do our station announcements as well as our public service announcements, so that way you are fully aware of different things that are happening, taking place, and all that type of thing. So let's go ahead and first off, again, welcome each and every one of you all being out here. We really appreciate your support, not only of this show, but the entire Status Network family of shows. To best enjoy tonight's show, make sure you're visiting statusnetwork.net, click on channels, click on live TV, and then you're good to go. Make sure you download the smartphone app Status Network. Go ahead and go to channels, go ahead and go to live TV, and you're also good to go. On your social media platforms of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, and others, make sure to not only add Status Network, but also live TV. For those of you with Roku and Amazon Fire Stick, make sure to go ahead and catch us there. And in just a couple of moments, you'll be able to catch us on my Facebook Live at author Andrew Snorton, making sure to kind of work on a couple things so I can get this properly shared. But either way, we're just going to go ahead and make the magic happen. And now let's go ahead and go into our public service announcements for the evening. And ladies and gentlemen, if you or someone you know is an aspiring or established filmmaker, look no further than our network, the Status Network. We actually have our own film channel dedicated to documentaries, short films, things along those lines. So make sure that you go ahead and submit your info. Check out the info at the bottom of the flyer and get your film the exposure that it needs. Our next public service announcement, if you remember back in March, our good friends at This Is Custom LLC have their I Am Black Legacy t-shirt line. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and build a legacy. So again, make sure that you go ahead and enjoy this great apparel and things along those lines. Our next public service announcement tomorrow, August 27th, at 6:30 p.m. Make sure to check out the virtual political candidate forum that is set up by the Gwinnett County chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. They have some partnering organizations, including the Gwinnett County chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So you want to make sure to go ahead and scan where you see that QVC code to make sure to be a part of that event. Our next public service announcement is for those who live in Snellville, Georgia. The date was originally September 1st, but it has been changed to September the 2nd. But at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it'll be September the 2nd. Make sure to go to the Gwinnett County Justice and Administration Center, located at 75 Langley Drive, and make sure you go into the Board of Commissioners room, the hearing area, as there's a hearing for a potential 200 housing unit right at the intersection of Mink, Livesey, and Lee Road. So again, please make sure to be a part of the political process. Our next public service announcement.
Students and parents, as you're probably aware, the ACT and SAT landscape has changed just a little bit. It's important that you not only take time to get prepared, but make sure you're in constant contact with the colleges and universities that you are targeting to see what their requirements are. As you can tell, the ACT has widely expanded their testing dates to accommodate for as many people as possible. The SAT has added an additional day in order to make sure to accommodate as many as possible. Again, make sure to register as promptly as possible and reach out to us today. We've worked with schools, community groups, students, and student athletes, and we have a wide range of options to work with you, including virtual through Zoom. Again, make sure to reach out to us today so we can help you make it happen.
All right. Our next public service announcement is a great one regarding ACT and SAT from Creative Community Solutions. Make sure to check out last Sunday's edition of All About the Authors. This is the Authors Roundtable series that is hosted by myself as well as celebrity source Tarece. So again, check out this past Sunday's great talk with our fellow authors, Sandra and Octavian Braxton. You can view that on the Facebook page, author Andrew Snorton. Our next public service announcement, the Fast 15. This is our midweek, each and every Wednesday talk that we do. As we know, during the now normal, it's made things a little bit interesting. So today we had our talk a little bit earlier. Make sure each and every Wednesday at 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you want to go ahead, check us out on Facebook Live at author Andrew Snorton, as well as Instagram. And as you see right there, you can make sure to tune in on Zoom. Our next public service announcement is, and again, hey, we work in media, but guess what? The media covers us too. I'm very grateful for the current outlets that have featured me and my work. So thank you to Georgia Heartland News. And as you see right there, I've got a book signing coming up this Saturday. Also, thanks to our friends on the West Coast at Black Diego Magazine. So thank you to my folks out there in San Diego. And Wake Forest University, through their alumni services, did a great feature, and they had me as one of the alums that was featured. So I'm really thankful. So check out those articles again and support these outlets again: Georgia Heartland News, Black Diego Magazine, and Wake Forest University.
Hey everybody, this is the author Andrew Snorton, and we're back for the third volume of the Author's Mixtape. And while we went creative the first time from H to O, and then the second time beyond the holidays, beyond history, we're keeping it real simple and even more organic than the first two. Get the bag. Now, when you hear get the bag, many of you associate it with money. You know, hustling, working hard, trying to get that loot, trying to get them ends, and that's part of it. But we're going to expand it and make it just a little bit bigger. For example, the bag for you might be that goal to excel and exceed and achieve the next levels professionally, to excel and achieve, to reach and exceed the next levels within your community or your families or yourself. And we always know as you get closer to achieving that next goal, those challenges get harder. You know what I mean? Like you're getting there and all of a sudden it's like something comes knocking at your door, almost like this whole, this bad date that we have with the Rona, just knocking on your door, trying to take out your 2020, COVID-19 taking out the 2020. But still, as our elders say, keep your eyes on the prize. Still, like Dr. Maya Angelou would say, and still I rise. So keep your eyes on the bag, keep your eyes on your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Keep looking at continuing to grow and develop and tap into levels that go beyond even your wildest dreams and imagination. So yeah, y'all, I kind of like paper chasing. Well, in this case, let's go ahead and get that bag. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's the author Andrew Snorton, and I'm just leaving Young, Gifted, and Black Children's Books and Workshop right here in Stone Mountain. I will be here on Saturday, August the 29th from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. for my next book signing, so check out the info.
Please make sure to have your masks on, and if the store reaches the maximum number of people that we can allow, we'll ask that you please be patient and exercise proper social distancing. All 3 books, including the newest release, Nothing Minor, will be available for purchase. Please make sure to be prepared through PayPal, Cash App, or card, as we will not be accepting cash on site. Thank you so much for your support, and we will see you there.
And ladies and gentlemen, again, we had a good amount of public service announcements as well as station announcements. But again, this is what we do here at the Conversation Corner. As you saw, is a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of business, and a little bit of community. So again, make sure to pay attention to all those different things going on, so that way you can go ahead and get as engrossed and involved as possible. Now, before we get into our first guest, who is one of the, when we say hardworking, that is an understatement. In regards to her professional presence, has credentials and a half, but it's more than just having the credentials. It's about making sure how to effectively engage with different audiences across the board. So when it comes to cultural, to the arts, to things of that nature, I tell you what, our next guest that we're getting ready to bring in is someone that you definitely want to pay attention to. So without further delay, we are so excited to have our first guest, Dr. Tarece Johnson. Dr. Johnson, how are you doing this evening?
I am well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you this evening.
Awesome. And thank you. I know moving parts, we all have our share of moving parts. So before we get into talking a little bit about your platform on the Gwinnett County School Board, give our viewers a little bit of a background regarding where you're based out of, your educational background, but also your cultural experience, because you've got some great moving parts really across the arts, culture, you name it. So please go ahead and share that with our viewers.
Well, I'm originally from Houston, Texas, born and raised. And after graduating from high school, I was in a magnet school in Houston. I learned how to fly a Cessna plane. A lot of people don't realize that. But in the magnet program, it was a school called Aviation and Sciences. And it was focused on teaching us how to fly planes. So it was a great experience. It was like a small school within the larger school. So my high school experience was predominantly, Black and brown students, and the magnet school experience within that school was predominantly white. But it was definitely an interesting experience for me. And so like that's something that a lot of people don't know, is that I have been in the air and flown Cessnas. So after graduating from high school, I lived in Puerto Rico. I went to college there, La Universidad del Sagrado Corazón. And I was there for about 4 years. It was a great experience. Of course, I knew a little bit of Spanish before. I have Latinx members in my family. And I was very engrossed in, because it's Texas, I had a lot of familiarity with the Mexican culture in particular, and South American culture as well. And but really the Mexican influence was really huge for me. A lot of my friends were Mexican, and I was really influenced by the culture there. I thought I knew enough Spanish to go to college in Puerto Rico. And when I finally arrived to study in Puerto Rico, and I thought like, oh yeah, I'm totally fluent. And I sat in class and I was like, oh my goodness, the teacher was speaking like all Spanish, and it was way beyond what I could comprehend. But wow. Over time, I learned, and so I became fluent. And ultimately, my first year was very challenging. It was really, really hard. I thought about going back home to Houston several times, but I'm glad I stayed. I ended up graduating cum laude from La Universidad del Sagrado Corazón. So that's a huge accomplishment for me, a personal accomplishment, and academic as well. But it was definitely challenging. Once I graduated from La Universidad del Sagrado Corazón, I then went to do my master's degree from Columbia University. I did a master's in public policy and administration. I lived in New York City for about 14 years. I worked at the Harlem Renaissance Economic Development Corporation. I worked at JP Morgan Chase, and I worked at the New York City Fire Department. I also did an internship at the Administration for Children's Services in New York City. I got married and then divorced ultimately, but I got married, and then we decided to move to Atlanta. And I worked at AGL Resources, which is now the Southern Company, and I worked in supply diversity. And most of my experience has really been around economic development, community development, multicultural diversity experiences, education. And so, but for the most part, functionally, everything that I've done has been around diversity, embracing all people, embracing multiple cultures, embracing people who, are from, Europe, people from Africa, people from the US, people from South America, and all of the continents, but really exploring and learning about who they are and learning about their culture and learning about their experiences. And so going to Puerto Rico was a part of that experience. Going to New York, which is a very cosmopolitan city, New York City it's you can meet people from all around the world in New York City. It's just an amazing experience, and I embraced that, and I sought out learning about other people and embracing the differences. And so that led to me wanting to start a school here, in a preschool here in Georgia called Global Purpose Academy. And Global Purpose Academy and the Global Purpose approach, which is the methodology that informs the school, is really about learning about different cultures and learning the languages. So I'm multilingual. I speak Spanish, French, I speak a little bit of Hebrew, a little bit of Italian, a little bit of I speak a little bit of Mandarin, but for the most part, the Global Purpose approach and the Global Purpose Academy really addresses understanding differences, embracing them, celebrating them, and understanding how we can be a bridge to really connecting our world to be more harmonious. Because when we think about where hate comes from, it usually is derived from fear. It's usually derived from like ignorance. So when we take the roots and we feed it with knowledge, and we feed the roots with love, and we feed the roots with who we are and how we are as a people, and the importance of celebrating our differences, then we grow this really strong tree that is a community of one people, of one humanity, of one race.
And I'm glad that you shared that, because what you just did, you showed the not only professional, I'll say, credentials, but the applied work. So putting it into action, understanding what diversity means. And it's not just having people out there, it's about understanding cultural and how do we blend the best of what all these different people bring to the table. Another thing you did, which was really important, was addressing what ignorance really means. And ignorance is either fear or lack of understanding or lack of exposure. So what you're doing is you're bringing this experience from where you've lived, where you've studied, where you've worked, the work that you're doing in education to apply best and growing practices, which leads me to my next point. So here you are, this embodiment of diversity and understanding and knowledge and application and awareness, and you're already, quote, being a public servant. What was the impetus for you to say, let me take my public service to another level in regards to the work you're about to embark on in the Gwinnett County Schools Board of Education?
Well, it's really, I am an advocate, I'm an activist, I'm an organizer. I am one of the co-founders of Alliance for Black Lives, which is an organization that is founded on 3 principles of Dr. Martin Luther King, which is eradicating racism, eradicating militarization, which is police brutality for us, and focusing on ending poverty. So we focus on economic education, economic empowerment, reparations, and cooperative economics. So that's my passion, is really, building our community. And one of the things I've learned as an activist is we can march, we can protest as much as we want, But when we actually put our talents into changing policy, and we can do that as activists, of course, because we have demands, we push policy, we kind of, hold our elected officials accountable. But being an elected official and having the power to change policy is something that is so critically important for people who are, who are activists, who are grassroots people really looking to make a difference. And so my goal and my motivation to wanting to work as a school board member of Gwinnett County Public Schools was really understanding the importance of being able to shape policy, the importance of understanding the school to prison pipeline. How do we end it? I know that there's a disproportionate rate of Black and brown kids who are disciplined differently, who have different educational experiences. They're not seen, they're not heard. There are different, inequities around access, inequities around just representation. And so it's important for many elected officials and leaders in our community to understand how important it is for us to take our activism from the streets, if we're activists or advocates in the streets, and move it to the bench, move it to having a seat at the table. Like Ms. Chisholm said, having a seat at the table and making a difference in changing policy, informing policy, creating transparency, making sure that our community is seen and heard, making sure that their voices matter. And it's why I'm here.
And I'm glad you said that, because what I heard, and especially with the makeup of Gwinnett County, many people don't realize that probably at least 3 out of 5 students are of either Black or brown pigmentation. And another thing, that the operative term that I heard is voice. It's having a voice where decisions are made. It's also making sure that others can have their voices amplified. So whether it's attending a meeting, whether it's being as engaged as possible at the schools in their district or their cluster. And as you said before, it's about identifying what policy changes can be made so that we are not only getting the best and better involving all these different pieces, but correct me if I'm wrong, Gwinnett County's motto is what, a world-class education. And it leads the question, how can you be world-class if there are certain voices that are not heard, if there are certain voices that are not represented? So it's really impressive and important that people understand you have consistently engaged with finding voice, amplifying voice, bringing out the best from all walks of life. And it sounds like you are ready to take that step to transfer it to, how do we incorporate this in policy? How do we incorporate this in our day-to-day? What would you say, again, to remind people of your platform and your key areas with the time that we have? What are, again, those key focus areas, with your platform one more time?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to share my platform. Number one, it's equity. It's ensuring that everyone, regardless of their race, their religion, their economic status, their zip code, that everyone has what they need to be successful, to survive, and to thrive. So that's first and foremost, is in creating equity. The second thing is, in creating equity, what I would like to do in District 5 is I would like to have a universal pre-K program. Early literacy, we know, is critically important. When our students are learning how to read earlier, they become more successful in school. That early literacy rate is also an indicator of the prison pipeline. And so when we look at the data around ending the school to prison pipeline, and we understand how important it is for us to ensure that our children are reading early and our children are academically prepared for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, then we hopefully by third grade, they will be at a place where they are passing their standardized tests, where they are doing standardized tests. I think that's a whole nother conversation about maybe the invalidity, how invalid that is for many reasons. But I just want to say basically that by third grade, that's the data they use to determine the prison beds. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to combat that data. We want to show that our children are prepared and ready, and they are successful, and they're meeting the standards by third grade. And so the universal pre-K program is the foundation of preparing our children for early literacy and for learning. Also, I would love a before and after school program. That's another platform for me in terms of ensuring equity. We know that there are many, in particular in my district, there are many parents who are single. They are economically oppressed, or they don't make a lot of money. And some kids live with their grandparents, and it's challenging in many ways for our parents to really be there as engaged as they want to be, right? Because we all want to do what we can to support our children. We want what's best. But when you are working, you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you getting your kids ready, you got to go to work, you get off of work at 6:30, 7 o'clock, you getting dinner ready, then you have to put your kids to bed, and then you have to get back up in the morning and get them ready for school. I mean, really, where is that parental engagement? It's challenging. We do the best we can, as in particular, as single parents or parents who work many hours. But having a before and after school program provides the enrichment that our children need. So when we talk about equity, it's engaging our second language learners, right? Our ESL learners, and making sure that they have the extra enrichment to learn English, and also share their own culture and share their own language with the people they're working with and with other students. I think it's important for us to understand that it's a two-way street. It's not just about indoctrinating people who don't speak English into our culture and assimilating them. I think it's really important for us to celebrate who they are and to embrace how we can learn from them as well, their language and their culture. So my platform is really around engaging these young children before and after school programs to provide them with enrichment, learning how to code, getting better with English, math, science, whatever they need. But doing it, that doesn't cost the parents anything, but it actually supports the family, it supports the community. And when we have the people who are serving the needs of the community, and those people look like us, Black and brown people, serving the community, the entrepreneurs who want to, do after school programs, we build capacity for those after school program managers and organizations. We end up contributing to the economic development of our own community when we use our local residents to provide services to our children.
And I tell you what, and I'm glad you articulated that, because again, everything that you mentioned, that sounds like it aligns with and embodies the mission and purpose of a world-class and global education. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to, as we get ready to close out this segment, could you please let our viewers know the best ways to find out more about your platform, as well as other ways that people can lend support to the work that you are preparing to do with the school board?
Right. Okay. Thank you for that opportunity. First, people can follow my page. I have VoteTareceJohnson.com. Please go to my page. You can read more about my platform. Also, I have a Facebook page, Vote Tarece Johnson. And if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see videos. You'll see a 10-minute series. I'm just starting in September, but you'll start seeing videos of me just kind of talking about these platform issues, which also includes multicultural, multilingual education. It includes, mandating cultural competency and implicit bias training for all of our students and our teachers and our administrators, including our board. It includes ensuring that our curriculum addresses the historical facts, and we revise our curriculum to make sure that Black and Brown students are seen and heard. It encompasses making sure that there's diversity representation in our teachers, in particular our Black male teachers. So I'm excited to speak more about that with you all and share with you all this platform. So if you go to my VoteTareseJohnson.com website and my Facebook page, you'll see these videos, and you can learn more about my platform. That's pretty much. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dr. Johnson, thank you for taking and making the time. I know you've got your share of moving parts, especially working with your constituents. So thank you. Continued well wishes with all you're working on. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short commercial break, and we come back, we're going to bring on our next guest. This is, again, the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Conversation Corner. This is your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. And I tell you what, after our first guest doing some great things in the Gwinnett County community, I am really excited about this next guest right here. Hoptown, a.k.a. Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Christian County representing. And I am so excited to have my main man right here, Mr. Cary Sharber. Cary, how are you feeling this evening?
Man, I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Well,
appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you taking and making the time, and you've got your hands in a lot of constructive things regarding community uplift, outreach, empowerment. But I think what helps is the proverbial, we see people where they are now, but we don't know what they've been led through in order to get here. So walk through a little bit with our viewers. How did you get here?
Well, I got here by making a lot of bad decisions as a young man. I'm 41 now. I turned 42 in November, but at the age of 20, I was charged with the death penalty in 1999. And for 4 years and 3 days, I sit in the Christian County jail fighting my case to eventually get it down to 10 years at 85%. I was released for a little bit of time on the streets. I went back in, I did my time, a total of 10 years. I've been home since 2009, and since 2009, I've just been trying to just kick in doors, man, and just let people know that kids like me can change. You know, a lot of times we see kids and we feel like they're worthless, they don't want to listen, they're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. That's how people felt about me. And I was able, you know, once I got locked up, I changed my mindset. And you change the way that you think, you can change your life.
You said a lot right there. The way that you think, there's a book that came to mind when you just said that, As a Man Thinketh. And I'm sure it's one that you are well acquainted with. Walk through with our viewers, as you were able to pivot your way of thinking, what were some of the things that you started seeing, I don't want to say fall in your lap, but things that became more available to you? So walk through that with our viewers.
changing the way that I was thinking and changing the way that I was speaking. You take yourself out of certain environments. And once you take yourself out of certain environments, then that means a lot of doors will open up for you. And because a lot of times when you're in certain environments, God is not going to bless you because you're going to be around people that's going to steal your blessings. Or you're not going to be able to use your blessings the way that he intends you to use them. So you have to get out those environments. And once I got out those environments and got away from around certain people, God started to open up a whole lot of doors for me. And once that started happening, I was like, okay, this is the direction I need to be going in. And, a lot of times, we be in repetitive states. We stay in cycles. We continue to do the same thing over and over. I was stuck in those cycles for a minute. But once all that changed and I started seeing the doors open up, I said, I don't want to be stuck again.
And that's important that you said that, because sometimes, and I remember having a conversation, it was actually with our cousin yesterday. It's like all of us used to be something. We all used to do this, or we all used to be something, but you have the capacity to change. And I think, like you said, it is very important that you walked through, you were able to realize your capacity to change. And in changing that, there's a lot of community investment that you are doing. Can you walk through with our viewers? I know there's so many to choose from, but no, really there are. But share with us at least the two things that first come to mind as examples of, now that I am in a better space and place, this is how I'm reinvesting.
One of the things, I'm pretty sure the thing that I like to say, you can't spell community without unity. And the guest before me, man, she spoke, and she said a lot of things that really got my attention, like I've been trying to tell people, especially about the third grade test scores in prisons. You know what I'm saying? So if they wasn't listening to her, they need to be listening to her, and they need to cast a vote for her. So like I said, one of the things, you can't spell community without unity. You have to that was one of my main things, the Southside Challenge. It brought my whole community together. You had city councilmen, you had judges, you had the mayor, you had a lot of the clergymen, that joined in with the city, that got involved with that movement. Also, I was with the Challenge House movement for a little bit. Also, I'd like to do, my own little thing for us, for events for the kids and stuff like that, because I feel like if we can reach the kids, we have a real good chance of, just shaping our future for something that's better than what we have right now.
And you said a lot right there, again, in regards to community, and you started at where the community starts, which is with young people. And really, a number of the things that you were speaking of really parallel, like you said, what our first guest talked about. What are some things that you have in place, I'll say, for the immediate future in regards to continued community bridge building and community, I'll say empowerment, because it really is empowering when you're able to, like you said, change your mind state and provide access and things along those lines?
Well, right now, with COVID, a lot of things are, you don't really know what you can and can't do, but I have a lot of events and things. I have a lot of events that's coming up for the kids. Something that's going to get them started as far as helping them read, like the Ms. Jones said before me. Then you also have the things where I want to give back to the community, as far as haircuts. When school getting ready to start back, if they can actually go back to school. I want to be able to give. I want to give incentives, as far as I do the haircuts, you got to read the books. So, just something that's going to be like, here go reward, but you also getting rewarded by changing, being able to read and be able to change the way that you think and have a whole new world open up before you, because that's when my life changed, when I actually started reading books. If you're not reading books, you're not opening up your mind to different things. And that's where it needs to start. We need to start reading.
And it's real important that you said that, because when we talk, and it is very clear when you look at your approach, how wide-ranging your thought process is. Even when it's almost like we say, don't make a molehill into a mountain. But on one hand, you're taking something real small and real organic and having a very big impact. We've seen, like in the Kentucky New Era, we've seen where you're doing, the talks not only at the schools but also at places where people are incarcerated. Like, there's a lot that you are covering. Walk through with us, and you mentioned the importance of reading. What are, I'll say, a couple of books or a couple of passages that you felt were very important in helping you shift your way of thinking?
I'm gonna tell you one book besides the Bible that was very instrumental in changing the way I think. Is the Napoleon Hill book, and it's called oh man, you put me on the spot. I can't think. It's Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. There you go. It's the Napoleon Hill book, but it's called Think and Grow Rich, and I read it while I was in prison, and it challenged you to change the way that you think. And I love a challenge, and one of the things that I always thought about when I was incarcerated was I got a better chance of coming back than I do in staying out. So how about I challenge myself to stay out on the streets and not come back? How about I challenge myself to get out on the streets and be a whole different person than people expect to get back out on the streets? I had a better chance of getting out and just being the felon. I had a better chance of getting out and just being the guy that always commits crime. I had a better chance of just being the guy that stays in and out of jail than being the guy that I'm becoming now. So it just gives glory to God and just shows what God can do when you really allow him to use you and touch your life.
And again, you said a lot right there, your spiritual grounding. And not only that, like you said, the things that you read, it was really feeding your mind to help you go ahead and make that pivot. And really, it, like you said, it challenged you to think. It challenged you to say, why can't I do this? Or why can't I make this impact? Or why can't I make this change? Now, getting back, and I know one of the things you read, the Bible, could you let our viewers know, if you don't mind, what was a key verse? And I kind of know what it is, but share with us why that particular verse is something that really sticks with you.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you already know it. Psalm 46:10. And Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And the reason why that verse is very important is because my mom gave up everything that she had to hire me some attorneys out of Louisville. I had a whole defense team. I had 2 attorneys. I had my own private detective. And, my mama put a lot into these people. So once they got to offer me plea bargains on my death penalty case, the last offer they gave me was 17 years at 85%. And if I would have took that time at 17 years, 85%, I'd just been getting out last year, probably at the beginning of last year sometime. But as they was offering me this time, my lawyer told me that 17 years at 85% was going to be the best offer I can get. And he told me that if I didn't take it, that I was going to end up getting the death penalty again. And one of the things that I've always done, I always prayed and I asked God for direction. And one of the things that my lawyer had told me, he said, you go back there and ask whoever you've been talking to if you should take this deal or not. He said, because evidently they know more than what we know. And, I busted out laughing because, all I've been doing is just praying. So, and I told him, I said, well, I already talked to him. And he looked at me like, well, what did they say? I said, well, God told me don't take it. And when I said God, it was like he just flipped his top. God, what you mean, God? God is not going to do anything for you, this, that, and the other. And God can't do this and God can't do that. But God told me 46:10. He told me to be still and to know that he was God. And the very next day, my lawyer called me over the jail phone and told me that I did the right thing, which I knew that I did because I listened and I had faith in what the word said. And they offered me the 10-year deal. And like I said, once I got the 10-year deal, I was able to get out for 74 days out on the streets. So that was the blessing. Once God speaks to you, you got to stand on what God says. That's why he gave it to you.
I'll tell you what, you've got a powerful testimony just through the lens of faith. You've also got a powerful testimony in regards to, to a degree, not blocking your blessings, but you're also speaking to, again, and I think this is an important theme for people that are out there. All of us used to be something, but it doesn't mean you always have to be that something. So it's great, and I think it's refreshing that you acknowledged, hey, look, before I got here, this is where I was. But now that I'm here, this is what I'm doing. And while I'm here, I know there is more out for not just me, and not just, we'll say, my household, but even just as important is the community that you're charged to serve. So even though you might not have the title yet, hint, hint, you are still serving your community. So let me ask you this. What would be when you take a moment to pause and see, your walk and where you're walking, what's one thing that you want viewers to take away from this?
I just want them to know when you see that little kid that stays in trouble, you see that teenager that y'all feel like can't get it right, and we write them off and we say, they don't have a chance to make it, in this life. It's not up to us to label them. It's not up to us to say what they can't do, because we're all created by the Creator. So when you see that person or that teenager and you say that he doesn't have a chance, just think about me. I was wrote off. And yet I am back doing everything they said I couldn't do, because God said with man it is impossible, but with God all things are possible. So I just want y'all to know this. You may have done what they said you done, but you are not who they say you are. You are not. People do not have the right to label you. We are God's children. Remember that.
Well, I tell you what, you said a lot right there. And I think, in closing, real quick, because we do need to prepare for our next show, if people want to connect with you and support the ongoing community initiatives you have, what are the best ways for people to reach you?
You can reach me on Facebook. That's really the best way to reach me on Facebook. CarySharber is going to pop up 3 pages, but my main page, you will see my daughter in the background. She just graduated. Then the other picture will say, you can't spell community without unity. And that's what I stand on. We've been marching. We've been protesting. It's time for us to come together to make the changes together for all of us. That's the only way we will get equality, if all of us come together. If one group is doing one thing and the other group is doing a different thing, where's the equality going to come in at? We have to unite. That's the only way.
And there you have it. So, Cary, I want to thank you for taking and making the time and working with us, because we had a couple things going on. But as we get ready to close out the show and get ready for our next show that comes up at the top of the hour, again, this is what we do every second and fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Check us out with our next show, which will be September the 9th. On that note, we're going to go ahead and ride out into the sunset. Thank both of our guests. Thank my awesome team. And get ready for the next show coming up on the network at 8 o'clock. You all take good care, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. This is the author, Andrew Snorton, and we're back for the 3rd volume of the author's mixtape. And while we went creative the first time from H to O, and then the second time beyond the holidays, beyond history, we're keeping it real simple and even more organic than the first 2. Get the bag. Now, when you hear get the bag, many of you associate it with money, hustling, working hard, trying to get that loot, trying to get them ends, and that's part of it. But we're going to expand it and make it just a little bit bigger. For example, the bag for you might be that goal to excel and exceed and achieve the next levels professionally, to excel and achieve, to reach and exceed the next levels within your community or your families or yourself. And we always know as you get closer to achieving that next goal, those challenges get harder. You know what I mean? Like you're getting there and all of a sudden it's like something comes knocking at your door, almost like this whole, this bad date that we have with the Rona, just knocking on your door, trying to take out your 2020, COVID-19 taking out the 2020. But still, as our elders say, keep your eyes on the prize. Still, like Dr. Maya Angelou would say, and still I rise. So keep your eyes on the bag, keep your eyes on your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Keep looking at continuing to grow and develop and tap into levels that go beyond even your wildest dreams and imagination. So yeah, y'all, I kind of like paper chasing. Well, in this case, let's go ahead and get that bag.